A long drive used to have a rhythm to it. You settled in, the road unrolled, and somewhere out there you started watching for the roof. A teal roof, bright blue-green, almost the color of a swimming pool, sitting low against the sky a half-mile ahead. The kids in the back seat saw it before you did. They always did. That roof meant you were going to stop. It meant clean restrooms and cold drinks and a long glass case of candy made with Georgia pecans. And it meant that, before you left, somebody was getting a pecan log roll. This is the story of Stuckeys, the little roadside store that taught America how to take a break. And it is the story of how a family lost it, watched strangers run it into the ground, and then, against all sense, got it back. So let me take you to the beginning, because it starts about as small as a business can start. In 1937, a young man named W.S. Stuckey was sitting by a highway in Eastman, Georgia, selling pecans out of a lean-to shed. That was the whole operation. A card table, really, and a sign, and sacks of the nuts that grew all over that part of the state. He was a pecan farmer who needed to move his crop. Travelers were going by on Highway 23 all day long, so he sold to them, one bag at a time, by the side of the road. The pecans did fine, but here is the part that changed everything. His wife, Ethel, started making candy in their kitchen, and one of the things she made was a pecan log roll. If you have never had one, picture a soft column of nougat, rolled in warm caramel, then rolled again in chopped Georgia pecans until the whole outside is nothing but nuts. She tucked little bits of cherry into the nougat. She cut it into thick slices. People stopped for gas and pecans, and they left with Ethel's candy. And then, on the next trip, they stopped again. For the candy. That is the quiet thing at the center of this whole story. The pecans were the business plan. The candy was the magic. And Ethel's recipe, the one she worked out at her own stove in the 1930s, is more or less the same recipe they use today. And remember when this was happening. The middle of the 1930s, the Depression. Money was scarce, work was scarce, and a great many businesses were closing their doors for good. A young man selling pecans out of a shed had no business succeeding in those years at all. But he did because he had stumbled onto two things people could not resist even in hard times: a clean, friendly place to stop, and a little sweetness for a dime. Hard times are exactly when a person needs a small treat the most, and W.S. Stuckey was selling small treats by the side of the road. Word got around. The little stand did better than a little stand had any right to do. And W.S. Stuckey understood what he had. He started building real stores, not sheds. Buildings with that bright teal roof you could spot from a long way off, so a family doing 70 on the highway had time to slow down and pull in. Inside, he gave them a reason to linger. Pecans, of course, and the log rolls and pralines, and divinity, and fudge, all of it made by the company itself. He built his own candy factory back in Eastman to keep the store supplied. But it was more than a candy shop, and this is why it worked. Stuckeys sold gas. It had restrooms a mother could trust. It carried road maps and toys and pennants and little rubber alligators and all the cheerful junk a kid would beg for after 4 hours in the car. And he told you he was coming. For miles before each store, the billboards did the work. Stuckeys, 22 miles. Stuckeys, 10 miles. Pecan log rolls ahead. By the time that teal roof finally came up over the horizon, the kids had been chanting about it for half an hour, and there was no driving past. Inside, past the candy, was a whole world of glorious junk, rubber tomahawks and toy six-shooters, coconut patties and saltwater taffy, little cedar boxes that smelled like a forest, snow globes, postcards, comic books, sunglasses, and those magnetic alligators that every Southern child apparently had to own at least once. None of it was expensive. Most of it broke before you got home, but it was the souvenir of the trip, the proof that you had gone somewhere and had kept a backseat happy through another 300 miles of nothing. A family could pull in tired and cranky and pull out 20 minutes later, fed, watered, and quiet. On a long American road trip, that was worth more than money. By the way, if you are enjoying this, and if a teal roof on a back highway means anything to you, do me a small kindness and subscribe. I spend my days digging up places like this one, the ones that used to be everywhere and now take some looking for. I would be glad to have you along. Now, back to the road. Through the 1950s and into the 1960s, Stuckeys spread across the country. They followed the new highways the way water follows a ditch. Wherever Americans were driving, a teal roof seemed to turn up about the time the kids needed a bathroom. At the peak, there were more than 360 stores scattered across some 30 states. A family could drive from Georgia to California and stop at a Stuckeys nearly every time they needed to. And every one of them was the same in the ways that counted. The same clean counter, the same teal roof, the same log roll under the same glass. A child in Florida and a child in Arizona were eating the identical candy, made in the same Georgia factory, shipped out across the whole country. That sameness was the comfort. You did not have to gamble on a strange roadside stand and hope. You saw the roof and you knew exactly what you were getting. A lot of the stores worked hand in hand with a gas company, so you could fill the tank and fill the candy bag in one stop. That was smart. The gasoline got the cars off the highway, and once a family was out of the car and stretching their legs, the smell of warm pralines did the rest. Nobody walks past a pecan log roll on the way back to a hot car. Nobody. And the company made the candy itself the whole way through. The pecans came off Georgia farms, went to the Stuckey factory back in Eastman, and came out as log rolls and pralines and divinity and fudge under the company's own name. When you bought a Stuckey's pecan log, a Stuckey had its hands on it from the tree to the till. That is a rare thing now, and it was already getting rare then. W.S. Stuckey had built something close to a perfect little machine, and then the machine got too big for one man to run. So in the early 1960s, with all those stores to manage, he sold the company. The buyer was a large outfit called Pet, the milk company, and on paper it looked like a happy ending. A family business, grown so successful that a corporation wanted it. For a while, it even went well. The new owners had money and reach, and the stores kept multiplying. But something had changed that you could not see from the parking lot. The man whose name was on the roof no longer owned the company under it. I want you to hold on to that, because it is the hinge this whole story turns on, and it is the hinge that a lot of these stories turn on if you watch closely. That little pattern, the name outliving the family that loved it, is most of what this channel is about. If you have not subscribed yet, now would be a fine moment. It tells me to keep going. For a stretch, the candy was still the candy, and the roof was still teal. The trouble came later, and it came from above. W.S. Stuckey Sr. died in 1977, and right around that same time, the company changed hands again, swallowed up inside an even bigger conglomerate, the kind that owns 40 things at once and loves none of them. To the new owners, way up at the top, Stuckeys was a line on a page, a roadside candy chain that did not fit whatever they cared about that year. So they did the thing those owners always do. They starved it. They stopped putting money into the stores. They let the buildings get tired. They closed locations by the dozen. The teal roofs faded or came down or ended up over a gas station that sold no pecans at all. By the end of the 1970s, out of more than 360 stores, only about 75 were left standing. In 10 years or so, a great American roadside name had been gutted from the inside. And the cruelty of it is that nothing was wrong with Stuckeys. People still loved the candy. People still needed to stop on a long drive. The stores did not fail because customers stopped wanting them. They failed because the people who owned the name did not care about the thing the name stood for. The interstate highways played their part too, to be fair. The new roads bypassed a lot of the old routes where Stuckeys had set up shop, and a store that nobody drives past cannot sell a thing. But a healthy company adapts to a new road. A neglected one just dies beside the old one. And that is the difference that matters. The interstate did not have to be the end of Stuckeys. Other chains moved to the new exits and did just fine. Stuckeys could not follow because the owners, who could have paid to move it, simply did not care to. The road changed, the way roads always do. What killed it was that nobody at the top loved it enough to change with it. By the 1980s and 1990s, Stuckeys was mostly a memory with a gift shop attached. A few stores hung on. The pecan log roll still existed, sold here and there, mostly to people old enough to recognize the name and feel something when they did. It looked like the slow, quiet ending that almost every story on this channel eventually reaches. The founder gone, the stores closed, the name owned by strangers who would let it fade out and never notice. And this is usually where I tell you to go look at the empty building while it still stands. But not today, because Stuckeys did something almost none of these vanished places ever get to do. It came home. The founder, W.S. Stuckey, had a granddaughter named Stephanie. She grew up with the name, with the candy, with the teal roof in the family photographs. She became a lawyer, and then she spent years in public service, and the old company drifted along somewhere in the background of her life, half forgotten by the country. And in 2019, she bought it back. She took her own savings and bought the company her grandfather had started at a card table in 1937. She made herself the boss of it, and she set out to do the one thing the conglomerates had never bothered to do, which was actually care about it. She brought the pecan business back under the company's own roof. She bought up pecan companies and candy makers, so the whole operation, from the nut to the log roll, belonged to Stuckeys again, the way it had when her grandfather ran it. She started making the candy properly, and she got out on the road herself, store to store, telling anybody who would listen that the teal roof was not dead yet. She did it loudly too, which I love. She put the whole comeback out in public, the wins and the setbacks both, and a country that had half forgotten the name started remembering it. People who had not thought about Stuckeys in 40 years suddenly wanted a pecan log roll again, just to taste 1965 for a second. I am not going to stand here and tell you it is 1965 again, because it is not. The great chain of 300 stores is not coming back. The interstate is still the interstate, but the pecan log roll is real again, made by a Stuckey on purpose, with the family name meaning something once more, and in the long, sad catalog of places that vanished and stayed vanished, that is rare enough that it is worth saying out loud. Most of the stories I tell you end with an empty lot, or a faded sign, or a building somebody else turned into something forgettable. This one ended with a granddaughter and a recipe in her grandmother's hand and a stubborn refusal to let the thing die quietly. I have covered a lot of vanished places. I do not get to say that often, and it is a pleasure to say it now. So here is what I would ask of you. If you remember the teal roof, if you rode in the back seat watching for it, if your father pulled in for gas and your mother came out with a log roll wrapped in cellophane, tell me about it down in the comments. Tell me the state. Tell me the road. Tell me what you spent your quarter on at the candy counter. I read them, and the towns and the roads you leave become the next places I go looking. And subscribe if you have not yet, so the next one of these finds you. There are a lot of teal roofs left to account for, and I would rather not run out of people who remember them. Ethel Stuckey worked out that candy recipe in her own kitchen for travelers she would never meet on a Georgia highway in the middle of the Depression. She could not have known it would outlive the company and the conglomerates and the interstate and even her own grandchildren's childhoods. But it did. The nougat, the caramel, the Georgia pecans, the same as she made it. Somewhere on a back highway right now, a kid is biting into one for the first time and going quiet. And that is about as close to permanence as a roadside candy store is ever going to get.